this. So, okay, so this is recording from this point forward for everybody in the mastermind. But like I said, I'm gonna put this private. So after we record, only the people that have the link will be able to see this.
Okay.
All right. So I don't know how many people can come on this. Probably like 8 people, right?
You're asking the wrong person.
Honestly, I'm the same way.
I mean, there's 5 of us. That's not bad. We have 5.
Yeah, so let's just kick it off. I mean, I know that we were talking a little bit about the Mom 2.0 seminars and like the biggest takeaways that were like the aha moments, I guess, from the people that went to that conference. So does anybody want to sort of walk through some of the big sort of key moments that were sort of
Kelly,
like
Kelly, how was it?
It was awesome.
Yeah.
I really went with the mindset that it was very different from last year.
Okay.
There were a lot of vendors, a lot of brands and sponsors in the hallways and in the suites, and there was not that many this year.
Oh, okay.
So, and Dove was only there for a day. So it was nice in the fact that you could really connect with people and not feel overwhelmed. But at the same time, it was very limiting for me anyway, because I don't have young kids. So a lot of the sponsors are geared towards the younger kids. But in any event, I still had a very good time. I connected with who I needed to connect with. It was really good to see people that I've known for 10 years, like Sugar Jones. We've been Twitter friends since the very beginning. And I had written in my post that when we met at the first night party, and this happens all the time. People look at my name and they're like, "Oh, hi, how are you?" And they don't have that light bulb moment until they see my Twitter handle. So when they see K-Pugs, she was just like, "Wah!" So that was super fun. It was great meeting her. I love her. But yeah, it was a really good conference. It was great because Deb Cruz was there and we hung out. We were kind of like our wing person. We worked really well together, talking with the brands, going back and forth. So if anyone has never been to Mom 2.0 or a conference who's on the call, I definitely suggest having that wing person friend that you can banter back and forth with, because I think it helps you get comfortable, not only you, but the brand as well, who you're talking with. But I mean, if you want, I can just jump in. My brain, I'm just going to jump ahead. My brain is totally in this GDPR nonsense that I have to do because my 3rd top readership for my blog is the UK. So I totally have to conform and it sucks. But in any event, so backtracking. So I still don't have my notes from one of the sessions, which I think may actually change once this goes into effect. But in any event, Instagram was awesome. LaShawn taught it and it was fantastic. So many good nuggets. Stories is where it's at. I think we were talking about this, and Vera, you mentioned that when you had your meeting. Stories is where it's at. Basically, when you post, so I'm just going to recap. When you post to Instagram, Instagram wants you to stay there for as long as possible. So when you post, so instead of scheduling your photo to go up, really you should be engaging that whole time. So when you post a photo, they really want you to stay on there. You should stay on there and like and comment and engage with your niche audience for as long as you can, rather than post and leave. So she was kind of saying, like, you really have to niche down. Like, lifestyle is not a niche. Like, she said, you know, if Susie loves coffee and loves everything coffee, then that's really who she should be engaging with. You know, her photos should have coffee in them. She should be engaging with people about coffee, anything coffee, coffee, coffee. And that's really how you know you're engaging with the correct audience, is based on the feed. So that main feed, that search feed, that basically is what they're showing. What else did she say? She's, you know, to everything you guys have been sharing, like, make sure you tag and use the location tag on your photos. Video, they love video. Trying to think of any other aha moments. I think some of them, that's really the biggest takeaway, is the engagement, not to schedule it through Buffer or Tailwind, and like, you can, but you have to make sure you engage in it. And then the other session that I went to the Google Analytics, and that's really where I had my big aha moments. Like, I had no idea you could drill down so much information, and she was very great. She said not to be afraid you're not going to break Google Analytics, to really go in there. You can go down by city and see who's reading everything. You can go in and actually pull up the Nielsen-esque type information. So if you find, so say Queens is one of your biggest cities, areas that is your readership, you can actually go in and put that information and find out the age of your demographic, who your demographic is, what kind of car they drive, where they shop. Like, she pulled down this information. She found that her target audience shops at Crate and Barrel. They drive a Lexus. They are, you know, this is the type of job they have. So I had no idea that you could really drill down that much. I do have notes on that. I haven't been able to put them all. Basically, I took pictures of everything so that I could write it out. And once I do, I'll just make it into a slideshow, and I can put it in the group. I just haven't had the time to do that. So,
Kelly, who taught the session on Google Analytics? Was it another blogger?
Yes. Wonderful.
I can look it up. I don't know if you know at the top of your head.
I Love on Fridays, or I think her name is Whitney.
All right. I can take a peek.
I'll look it up when someone else is talking, because I still have the mom booklet. Off the top of we date on Fridays. I don't know. I'm probably completely murdering her blog.
She's like, actually, it's lipstick and crayons, but don't worry.
Yeah, right.
Now, usually in the past, and I don't know if maybe she said something, but a lot of the times they share their PowerPoint presentations on like a specific link. Did any of the sessions you go to say that they would be sharing any of their PowerPoint or their presentations anywhere, or no?
I think LaShawn did.
Okay.
If you haven't signed up for her newsletter, I highly suggest doing so. It's really awesome. It's Everyday Eye Candy is her handle on Instagram. She won an Iris Award for it. I mean, her Instagram rocks. Oh, the other thing,
who won? I didn't know who won.
Yeah, she did.
Okay.
The other thing that was great as a good suggestion is, especially for Instagram stories, is like when you do sponsored content or something like that, to make that into the highlight. So that it lives a little longer on there, and that would be something that you could suggest in a pitch.
Mm-hmm. I do that anyway, because I always forget after the 24 hours to get the screenshot. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's just as a safety net. So if I have a sponsored post, I just put it in a I think it's called goodies or something, whatever little thing I have it called, just as a safety net to me, because I know I will never remember at the 23.5-hour mark to give them that screenshot. I just highlight it, and then that way I will be able to get back to them and give them the proper and even you can give them more than 24 hours then, you can get a couple more views on it basically. But yeah. Every time I do anything that's of value, I follow this child. I put her in the group. Her name is Jade something on YouTube. I forgot. I'll link her again. She's professes that she has ADHD. She does. I mean, in the video, she's all over the place, but she's brilliant. Like her methodologies are, once she hones in and once she settles down and starts talking, she's absolutely brilliant as a strategist. But then sometimes she goes like way left and way right when she's talking. But Instagram is her obsession. And she, like, every now and then she comes out with these nuggets. And she always says, like, if you're not using highlights, like if you're going to a day at the beach, like why wouldn't you make that a brand new thing for your readers to come and see? Like you should always have something new and fresh every time your readers come. Like no one's going to want to go 800 pictures down a personal page. Like people that only have 4, she's like, no one wants to go through 800 pictures to see your newest photo. She's like, you should have 9,000 highlight circles, not like these cute 4 tags. She's like, every time you do something fabulous, like make a new one. She's like, everyone wants something fresh and new every single time. And like, you listen to her, she's like 22.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, you're right. You know what I mean? Like, so I love her, but she definitely takes a lot of like, as someone who's like, I don't have that like pizzazz, like I watch her sometimes and I'm like, okay, yes, okay, I got what you're saying, but she's really good. I'll link to her again. She really has some good nuggets, and highlights are definitely like one of her big pushes.
Yeah, and she the other thing from that is that you should do a story every single day.
Now I want to talk about this too, because I had a big conversation with somebody who follows a huge Instagrammer. Now this is not confirmed, okay? This is not fact, but follows a huge Instagrammer, and that Instagrammer takes pictures of her whole entire day, so sun up to sundown. But she noticed that Instagrammer uploads all her pictures at once. So for example, she'll upload yesterday's photos at 11 o'clock at once. So she'll put 10 photos at once at 11 o'clock, and they'll be all of yesterday's photos at once for the next day, basically. So she's doing yesterday's photos at once at 11 o'clock the next day. And we were talking about it a little bit, and she goes, what do you think about that strategy? Why would she do that? Because like she's almost dissecting this woman, because she's a very big Instagrammer. Mm-hmm. And she's going, do you think that would bring more views, or why? Like, why is she doing that? That's very interesting. She's been doing that. She's been doing that for a few months. Is that something we should be doing? And I was like, I don't know. I've never seen anybody else do that before, but this is a woman who is like a little bit of a trailblazer. So I'm going, is that something we should be considering too? Like, just keep an eye out about how people are spreading out their stories.
Well, let me ask you this. The stories on top, isn't the whole point of it is that why you should do it throughout the day is your most recent is right there. So wouldn't you be lost?
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. Like, and I know the game, and I love to give love to anybody, but like, I do not scroll over. Mm-hmm. If your story is not one of the top 3 or 4 for me and I don't see it, I don't scroll. Yeah. So if you don't happen to be there, you're just not there.
To me, I agree with you. That's why this doesn't make any. That's why it's so illogical to me. Like, I don't understand why this woman is doing this.
Maybe she's lazy.
but isn't this more work to save it and to do? I don't know. For me, it's easy.
She has no time to do it throughout the day. I'm making $5,000 off one Instagram photo. Do you think I care if you watch my day? I'm loading them all on right now, and I'm taking my check and I'm laughing to the bank.
Or actually, maybe she uploads them the second she uploads her photo, and maybe she uploads her stories within the 20 minutes or so that she uploads her photo, and then that guarantees that her highlight is on top within, and then she's trying to get her photo in the algorithm or something.
But even like piggybacking off of like the Instagram thing, because Vera and I were at the same meeting with that woman who's the PR girl, and we even tried to say it in terms of like, when is this bubble gonna burst type of thing. And she was like, she said, it will burst. It will. She goes, because, you know, and thankfully she's a PR girl that has been in this business for literally 12 years. So she said, it will go away, much like Twitter parties did. And, you know, and she goes, in Periscope, it will ride its wave. She goes, that right now, Instagram is so hot. It's the only thing the brands are asking for. It's the only thing. You know, do the stories, do the Instagram, and like, because we were asking about Pinterest. She asked us about Pinterest. How do you use Pinterest? And we said, well, how are your brands utilizing it? And she was like, they don't even ask for it. And, you know, and to Vera's point when we were there, she was like, well, we really just use it for traffic and, you know, extra stuff like that. But, you know, we were trying to say to her, like, oh my God, there's so many ways that a brand could utilize Pinterest, whether it be if you have if it's a food brand, like to have all these people contribute recipes with the product. And she's like, you know, in theory, it's all great, but just right now, brands are just so solely focused on Instagram. And she said, I know Vera had put this in the same thing. And it was good to hear this because a lot of us are bloggers. But she said, you know, and she goes, and the trend seems to be skewing towards the blog is going to be coming back. So, and, you know, and we were both like, well, you know, we hope so. That would be fantastic. But it was interesting hearing her take on it because, like she said, the brand just wants to see engagement. Like that's really, they want to know who they worked with. They want to go to your feed. They want to click on the photo that they hired you to do, and they want to see engagement. Yeah. So, you know, which all of us know. I mean, you know, someone starting out new would know that. Like you want to get eyeballs and comments.
And that's the other thing she said is to make sure that when you, when someone comments, that you comment within like at least a day or two. Like
you.
Instagram is like Big Brother. They're watching. They see everywhere that you hover. The longer you look at a picture, they know how long you're looking at someone's picture. They know if you're scrolling right by. But if someone leaves a comment, even if you just heart it, that's better than nothing. Like don't ignore any comments or engagement on your Instagram. That was the other thing she said too.
Did LaShawn give an example of how long she spends on Instagram, like per day? Like, does she say, okay, I'm going to take like 20, 30 minutes every day and genuinely just, if it's 10 people I comment on, it's 10 people. If it's 20, it's 20.
She really didn't say.
Yeah.
She really didn't say.
I'll
look back at my note.
Any talk about, because I post like one picture a day. And I just know a lot of the girls that I particularly choose to follow, like the people I'm fans of, they really post like 3 or 4 times. They post a lot. They post like 3 times a day. And I just don't really have the bandwidth for that. But I mean, did she mention about how many times you should post a day?
I don't think so, but I will definitely look back in my notes.
Yeah, because that's something I've always thought about. Like one time a day, maybe that's not enough.
It didn't really stick out. That's not something that really stuck out. Otherwise, it would, even with my old brain, with you mentioning that, it's not like popping in my head like how many times or how long she stayed on it. I think I'll have to look back at my notes. But those were the big things that really stuck out. Those few things. Were the big points that she was saying.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that stuff.
Yeah.
Sure. And it's Camille Whiting.
Gotcha.
Was the Google Analytics, and her Instagram is Friday We're in Love.
Oh, so you were close. You had Friday.
I knew it was Friday. And I'm just looking back at her. I'm trying to see if she has a link that she was going to put on her site. I just keep finding pictures of my leg. So let's see.
And I'm not asking this to cause like, you know, a 20-minute conversation. I just was
No.
I'm just curious. But LaShawn, did she mention anything about pods?
Well, you know, that was the undercurrent. That actually was, I think, a big conversation in another session, which they call like the Black Web. or the dark web or something like that. And I know that's a big discussion, and I know Instagram is aware of it. But I think she addressed it as of, you know, as long as you're truly engaged with each other, like and I guess I felt like, okay, well, I think we're okay, because especially the pod, or I call it a pod, but the pod we have on Instagram, I think we genuinely, truly engage with one another. I think a lot of us were following each other already. So it's not like it was created just for engagement, because it's not. I think, like I said, many of us already followed each other and engaged with each other. Now it's just on a more consistent basis.
Yeah.
So, but she really didn't touch that, because it's such a sensitive subject with a lot of people that were there. So I don't blame her, because I think she just wanted to get through her presentation. So
yeah, no, I was just curious. And again, I didn't even want it to be like even a side shoot. I just didn't know if she mentioned anything. So cool. Well, thank you. Those are awesome notes. I know that I watched this afternoon too. Deborah had posted an awesome video of Kristen talking about some SEO tips. It was like about a 20-minute video. And it's a really good video. There was a couple things that I had never even heard of before that she mentioned. So I definitely am going to, use some of that. So if you guys are looking for any additional like SEO type stuff. And it was also refreshing to hear Kristen say that she had 2,200 posts that were not like that hadn't been fully utilized with SEO. And I was like, oh, thank God. Like that is, thank goodness. Like, we're not like the only people that have literally a backup of content that could still be further SEO'd. So if you guys get a chance to watch that, it was only 20 minutes, and Deborah did an awesome job at like taking notes and videoing. So if she was here, major props, because that was amazing. So definitely take a peek at that.
Yeah.
Anybody have any other questions too, anyway, while we're on right now?
I mean, I just want to talk a little bit about Tailwind, because I'm obviously this is like where my head's at. But Tammy Lee Tips, I don't know if anybody follows her blog, but she's like one of Audrey and my like really good friends, and she's a huge Pinterest and food blogger, and she does travel too, actually, travel and food. And she's been over the years been the one to have pushed us to really go after Pinterest and everything, but she's in a few of my tribes now. So now I'm like hyper aware of everything that she puts on Pinterest. So basically she's the girl that has 15 crock pots and 2 Instapots going in her house at all times. So that's who she is as a blogger. Well, today I saw in my tribes how to cook white rice in a crock pot. That was one of her pins. And the pin had like 600 repins. And I was thinking to myself, I'm really overthinking this. Like, I'm really overthinking my, the recipes that I want to create and everything that I'm thinking Pinterest is like, they want to know like the over the top, how to make the prince's birthday, it doesn't need to be that big and grand. Like, you just need to create what it is that you know how to do, like how to make white rice in a crock pot and it has that many repins. Like that gave me a big like shoulders down, like, oh my gosh, I cook every single day, I could do this. And it wasn't like the fantastic photo, it was literally rice in a crock pot and with like some text overlay on it. And so I saw that, and I'm actually gonna send her an email and just saying like, that's amazing that pin is doing so well, because it sort of gives you like high hopes that you don't have to have this big and grand plan to like make Pinterest and Tailwind work to your advantage. So I was actually gonna write that in the group, like just do what you do already, like whatever it is that you know how to do, whatever it is, throw it out there, make a good vertical pin or whatever type of pin it is, and throw it in a couple of groups and just keep repinning it on your feed. That's what she does. She has it like set out in a way that she told me, I don't remember how it was, but you know, she has like puts it in 15 or so boards, and she does it like 3 times a year. So she constantly has her stuff recycling out. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get more of my stuff in the tailwind and make it more about me in the pipeline as opposed to everybody else. And since I started doing this with you guys, I just looked today before I got on, my reach number is like 3.6 million now on Pinterest, whereas when I started doing it, it was like when I clicked on it, it was like 2.9. So only in like less than 2 weeks or so, or 3 weeks, it's gone up quite a bit just from me spending a couple of minutes every day. So I want to implore everybody to really start making that part of your everyday routine and putting your stuff. I have to work at putting more of my stuff. I'm going back and doing, you know, new pins, making new images for my blog post that makes sense, and just getting my stuff in there because it's starting to show me more results for my traffic.
Yeah, I think that's good.
It has to, you have to do it.
Yeah, that is one of my highest traffic sources.
Yes.
Not Tailwind, but Pinterest, but because of Tailwind, and it's constantly churning. So, you know, and I'm just the opposite. I'm pinning most of my stuff.
That's what I have to get to do.
And then when I go into the tribes and things like that, then I'll start repinning all of those. I want to make sure, you know, I follow those rules as well. Mm-hmm. But the majority of them are my pins because I want the traffic to come to my blog.
Yes.
But yeah, that was one of my goals. We're going on vacation through the first week in June. So yesterday I sat down, and it really doesn't take that long.
No.
And so I'm like, yeah, so I'm scheduled all the way through the first week of June.
Yeah.
Like done. I don't have to think about it. And
yes,
you know, if something comes up that I want to pin, I can, and it'll just add, you know, organically that way. But at least for now, I'm going through. I got all the holidays covered, and you know, all that stuff. So it's so
good. 4th of July now. That was what I put in my planner this morning. 4th of July now. I said to my husband, let's start doing content specifically with that in mind, because it's honestly like even like a little late in the game. Like, you know, I really should have started like a month ago, because we've all seen, if you're on Pinterest, you've all seen already the ton of 4th of July being circulated. Even Children's Place did a massive campaign for 4th of July like fashion. So it's even maybe a little bit too late, but 4th of July is a holiday, obviously in summer to hop on. And, you know, one thing even to add to it, you know, I actually started just like a Google document, a spreadsheet that every time I do a post now that I know is like pinnable, something that I really feel could be, you know, evergreen, I now just pop it in an Excel. I just put the link right in an Excel spreadsheet. And I started doing this probably like right in the beginning of the year. So now I have in it like 75 links that I just, you know, because now to find old content, I'm literally going to my blog, I'm going recipes, fitness, fashion, and just seeing what comes up that's old. And that's kind of how I'm going back and finding more pinnable things, like what to wear with. And I'm like, this is so difficult. So now I'm popping a lot of links that are already Pinterest ready, just in a sidebar that, because we have a VA that works with me too. And now I can share that with her and say, listen, these are all the links, all stuff that I feel is pinnable. Mm-hmm. And it's just right there. You don't have to go searching on my blog between a totally personal post and some stuff that might work or a giveaway. It's all right here, easy for you. So, and that's been easy for me to and for her to help even with Tailwind. So.
Yeah, I need to make more boards. I don't have enough boards for what I want to pin. Mine are, you know, they're still the original. So I know I need to like get better at being more specific, you know, like I have chicken and beef and all that stuff, but like as far as like travel or travel tips, or I could really break out a lot of boards so that I can really fill them up appropriately. But I'm writing that on my summer goal. I have to make more boards in Pinterest.
Maybe I'll start I'll try to start actually, Audrey, you should do it because you have the most followers. Maybe start like a mom make it like super generic, like mom blogger, like mom blogger board or something like that. Like start one of those. And then we'll all, like, everybody in the mastermind can join it. And then that way it'll just be another place for like a group board where, although I did hear that group boards are being, they're being deprioritized as far as the new Pinterest, you know.
Shocking. Why not?
I know. But anyway, do it. Would you mind doing that?
I actually created one. I created one yesterday, Mommy and Me, because I keep, like, everybody keeps saying, like, these, like, hop on trends, like, hop on. Yesterday was a trend day. I told you, the mascara, the Mommy and Me. So I'm like, these are the only 2 trends that I can do today. But
do like a mom lifestyle.
I was gonna say, because I know I have seen one that says mom blogger board. I think I'm actually in one. So I'll rename it. I'll do something.
Yeah, like mom lifestyle or something like that. And then we'll put it in the mastermind, and whoever wants to join, because we have everyone there pinned. So
yeah,
it'll just be another thing for us to do.
Sorry, I have a question.
Sorry.
So I saw this going through the group not too long ago, but so when you want to pitch a company and now that Insta stories are going to be big, or posts on Instagram are going to be big, might as well ride the wave right now while it is. Like, where do you start for your rate to pitch them? Because I do a lot of stories, but I would never know, like, I would have no idea where to even start on a rate to even share, just a ballpark.
For like just Instagram story, or that and an Instagram post?
Either one. Like, if they're separate, like if one person wants, well, we want a story. Okay, great. I can do a story for you, but I would have no idea what rate to even start.
Well, Popular pays, and also, what is the other one, Vera, that Revenfluence. I mean, all of their ranges are easily between $350 to $500. And that's for one Instagram post, and I don't believe an Instagram story was involved in that. No. And I think that, that's a solid rate, you know?
Yeah. So because
if you're gonna get great engagement too on it, then that's another plus too that a brand would love to see. But yeah, it seems like those were the ranges of where they were pricing them.
All right. Because.
And I've always done an Instagram story. I hate to say it, but sometimes just as an add-on. And it wasn't until recently that I was like, oh, maybe I will start adding in a bigger fee. And even Vera, hearing you saying, to keep it up, obviously in the highlights. Now I'm knowing, well, that's obviously an additional fee. Like, listen, I'll do an Instagram story if you want me to create a highlight and keep it up there. I'd love to do that for like an additional $150. I mean, I can't imagine a brand or whatever your fee would be not jumping at the opportunity to have it stay on your feed, where they could have somebody take a peek at it whenever they want to too. I mean, that right there would be a great another financial add-on for a brand or a pitch.
Okay. Yeah, like for me, what I do, I'll do like an Instagram story in one of those networks for like $500. But then if I sell it on my own, I'll do it between $500 to $1,000. But the Instagram stories, I pretty much use those for stuff that I get for free that I don't really want to, like, it's not really a campaign, but they sent it to me and I don't want to write about it. So I'm like, oh, look, I got a teddy bear. And it's like Instagram story. And then I'll send them an image and I'll be like, oh, I put an Instagram story up of this thing. Like, it's not really, I don't really charge for my Instagram stories. I use that outlet as like I don't really want to write about what you just sent me.
Twice.
You know what I mean? Like it's almost as like like I get like beauty boxes or something. Well, I didn't ask to be sent. I'm on all these lists. Send it to me, so let me show it on my Instagram story, and then I'll send it to the PR girl, and I'll say, okay, well, I put it in my Instagram stories. Thank you. But I wouldn't charge them for that. So I do it. I use Instagram stories a little bit differently. You can go get chips if you want. You want pirate booty? So you could try doing that too. Like if you want to do like if you get product or something that's sent to you and you don't really, don't really want to write about it, you can always use your stories as, like, this was company sent sample for review.
Yeah.
And then put it in there so it doesn't take space on your actual, your platforms. It goes away in 24 hours.
Well, I'm just noticing with some of the networks, like that's starting to be.
Oh, like as an add-on.
It's an add-on. So it's like, all right, well, if I'm going to do that as part of the campaign or even as a personal pitch, it's like, hey, I do this for you. And, so I had no idea like what that rate was going for right now. So that's helpful. Thank you.
I haven't really thought of that yet. Maybe like 150 if you had to do it, I guess.
Yeah.
150.
I know, it's funny because it's almost like the early days of like a Twitter party when they were like, and that is really what like this is now for Instagram stories and stuff.
Yeah.
They're, at least now we can all gauge from other people a solid blog rate or a YouTube rate or a Facebook Live. But Instagram stories are now that new, thing in the sifter. Like, where do you price it at,
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard because I look at it so differently for me. For me, it's like a relief. Like, it's like, oh, great. I don't have to like have that awkward conversation. Like, thank you for sending me this that I didn't ask for. I put it up on Instagram stories. You win, I win, we all win. Like that's sort of like how I look at Instagram stories for me.
But my last two campaigns have had Instagram stories written into them. So like the Aldi one I just did, it had an Instagram stories written into it. And also the Brookside chocolate one has Instagram stories written into it. And, and I have to for, they didn't say anything about putting in the highlights, but I figured, if they wanted me to, then tell me, but they didn't. So,
yeah,
that's a good point. It is something that you should probably have a good rate on and pitch back to people, even, now just kind of thinking on the top of my head, if you're doing like a travel thing or you're going to an event, you kind of could use it as like, hey, I want to be a digital correspondent for you. I'd love to do Instagram stories throughout the event or, going on a travel trip, you could really add an Instagram stories as an add-on. They could use all your footage if they want, you could give it to them.
Yeah.
There's always ways, I guess, to figure out how to incorporate all these different things into what you do and what you love,
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely, you know what? I just found, and I can't even, so if anyone is like geeking out over the Google Analytics, like this one, so a snapshot of this social group that fell into her niche. It was like the median income of the household, lifestyle and media traits. They shop at Crate and Barrel. They go skiing. They read The Economist. They watch HBO. Oh, it wasn't Lexus. They drive an Acura RL. Demographic traits: urban, city, suburban, income, wealthy, income producing assets, elite, age range 45 to 64, head of household with kids, mostly owners, employment level, management, graduate levels. So, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yikes. I'm like, you can find it. That means they know stuff about me too. But,
do you use FOHR?
No.
You if you do FOHR.com, like you can get that information about your audience too. You hook up all your Google Analytics, your Facebook, your Instagram, your Twitter, and your Pinterest, I believe, and it gives you a complete demographic rundown. Like basically you can screenshot it and you can put it in your media kit, exactly what you said. It's like, here's my medium income. Here's where the majority of my people live. Here's if they're married or not. Do they have children? They don't have children. And it ranks you compared to everybody else that is on FOHR.
Huh.
So it is kind of interesting. You should look at it. I mean, it's like, it's really clean too. So like you can, I wish I could show, I'll screen grab it,
Okay.
but you can do it by, like, if I only wanted to show somebody, if I had a Twitter campaign and I only wanted to show people my Twitter demographics, you could break it down by that. It's actually a great website as well. If you didn't want to only look at your blog and you wanted to look at your overall audience, like sort of as a whole.
Yeah.
That's a good website, and it's free. I mean, you know, you have to sort of give them the keys to your castle. You're linking up every single one of your accounts, but I know a lot of people that have signed up and they actually get gigs through FOR, because there's some brands that look to FOR as like a trustworthy source, and they say, okay, I just want people that are for like approved, or whatever the term is. I don't know what it's called.
Like you're
for verified, right?
Yeah. But it is cool, you know, if you, because I mean, listen, you also don't want to hurt yourself too. Like if a brand wants to pay you a good amount of money and they don't want the audience that you have, you know what I mean? So, you know, but I think that it is something that I know specifically for like our blogs, even like Instagram, a lot of the times, you know, it might be a nice add-on. Because I don't really have a lot of brands asking me for a demographic breakdown, to be honest with you.
Well, yesterday I actually had Blue Bonnet ice cream contacted me, and they were like, oh, we want to know like the top cities that you hit or something. And I was like, what? I have to like go and find the top cities that I hit. It's like annoying. So now I have to go figure out what top 5 cities that I target across my platform.
They want to hit certain cities,
I guess, but I'm like, are we really going to do this? Like, what cities do you want to hit? I mean, I'm in New York. Like, where do you want to hit? Blue Bonnet or Blue Bunny? I don't even remember the ice cream. So I have to go figure that out and send it to them. So brands are getting specific. It's not just like, oh, we like your blog. It's like, no, we want to hit these cities, and are you influential there, basically? Yeah.
So don't put it on your blog if you don't, if you know, so if you don't, because that's what I'm saying. It could hurt you. I mean, it really could. If someone wants just like an LA blogger and you clearly just have New York City, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, my advice always is, someone asks, then you provide it. You have to if you want the job. But I always was wary about that. Like, what if I said like, well, how much income my average reader makes? Like, what if like a company wants someone that's over $250,000? Well, mine might be 50 to 80,000. Like, I don't know. So I've kind of always been, you know, wary of, I guess, of just posting that stuff publicly. But, you know, yeah, when brands ask, to Vera's point, you got to provide it, or else you could lose out on your job, you know?
I know. I have to like, they want me to like look in my Instagram cities, and they want me to do all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, so I have to just do that today and try to get back to them. But they're starting to ask. They're starting to break
and they
down.
Can find it too, I feel like, you know? Right? If you're in FOR and your information is there, can people look or no? Like, would they have access to looking at not specific things on your back end, but if you're sharing, like almost like a blogger network, would they be able then at that point to see? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, well, Instagram, they can't because they're asking me to.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. Oh, is it through FOR?
No, it's no. It's through Popular Pays.
Okay.
But they said they want me to go through Instagram and like give them my top 5 cities, and then they're wanting all this stuff, and I'm like, okay, so I have to like literally do that today and get them all that information.
And Kelly, I know you had mentioned, because I seen that it's almost 2:30, but we don't want to obviously keep you guys too super long, but the GDPR, Liz Gumbiner posted.
Oh yeah,
amazing, because it's something that I know we all are asking and wondering and thinking about, and it's a lot of information, especially if you have newsletters. You know, I mean, really, like your disclosure policy, or on your, I mean, everything. All of us are affected. I mean, all of us are. So Liz Gumbiner posted something in the YouTube. It was one of our friends, Amy, had said, I literally don't have the bandwidth to go and read a million articles about this. And Liz was kind enough to share from her guy what all the steps that you should take. and it's phenomenal. I mean, it's like I literally copy and pasted it and emailed to myself so I can dissect it. But she really lays it out very in an easy way. So everybody that has a question on it, I definitely suggest you just go check out that. Again, Amy Oztan posted it in our group, in Permission to Hustle, the big group, and Liz Gumbiner had responded to her, and it's near the top right now. But maybe we can even copy and paste it and put it in our private group. But it was phenomenal. So
it's a lot to do.
I'm gonna share. So I'm in a group with Julie Cohn, and she's doing webinars this week and on Saturday. I'm taking a 3-hour webinar tomorrow. So it's actually it's really like mind numbing, the information that has to be in your privacy policy now. So if you have anyone that is from the UK that would come to your blog, you no longer, okay, so basically you can no longer have any boxes auto-populating people to be on your mailing list. So that means anything that can be downloaded, you know, like a freebie to sign up for your newsletter, it cannot be auto-checked. You have to have check boxes for everything that someone wants to sign up for. And right now, a lot of people are just scrubbing their whole list and starting from scratch just so they don't have to deal with it. But you have to have people re-opt in.
And there has to be a double opt-in, right?
Yes, they have to re-opt in by the 25th of May. And if they don't, you have to scrub them from your list, regardless.
If they're from the UK or everybody?
If they're from the UK. So a lot of people cannot differentiate whether they are from the UK or not. So that's why it's like, you know, it's kind of a guessing game. So
you have to send out an email to your full newsletter to resubscribe.
Yes. So basically for me, so like there's two components to this. So with my business, I did have that box checked where when someone checked out, they automatically got marketing material. It was, and they're allowed to uncheck it, but I went back in yesterday and just unchecked that box so that if they want to, they can get it. I don't ship outside the US. So for me, I really don't have any readership or, you know, customers from anywhere else than the US. But for my blog, you really have to pay attention. So from what I understand, so on your privacy policy, you have to list all the plugins that you use for your website, so that whether they're compliant or not, but you have to list anything that can take data. So it's all the plugins on your blog. It's any affiliate or ad network that you work with. Some are compliant and some are putting it onto the blogger. So for instance, I think I was looking at a Win, which owns ShareASale. They're putting that onto the blogger. It's like, you have to do this. We're not doing it. Where I think Commission Junction or whatever, Commission Junction, they're like on the ball. There's a cookie policy law that you can plug in that you can download. Amazon affiliates is affected. I'm trying to think of.
So everything has to be listed out in your privacy policy.
Yes, and that's why you're getting all of these emails that, you know, the privacy policies have been updated. But you have to give everyone, which is kind of a pain, even like your pop-ups, like Opt-in Monster, Sumo Me is not compliant. If you don't have it listed like on your pop-up, like you understand that you're signing up for this newsletter. What kind of updates do you want? Do you want blog updates, marketing material, recipes only? Like anything you would offer has to be listed. Now the date, I think my privacy policy has anyone under 13. Now the age is 16. It's just, there's just so much information that I'm kind of kicking myself now for not really paying attention to it, because I have a lot of work to do, and a plugin is not going to solve all of the issues. It'll help for sure, but you have to know how to fill out that plugin on the back end so that it is compliant.
Oh, oh my God.
Yeah. So it's right now, it's just kind of, I know I've been worrying about SEO, but right now for me, my biggest readerships for ePix, and it's a blog that I don't, as you guys know from last time, I don't really write that much on it, but I have to do it. So,
so number one, if anybody has a newsletter,
US, Canada, and UK, and UK is a big number.
Wait, what was the first one?
The US, Canada, and UK are my top three readership.
Oh, but this is really, this is the UK, right? This is just the UK.
But it affects, if they visit your blog, if you have any kind of item that affiliate marketing, any ad network that you're using, your email. I know I use MailChimp. They just came out with a really good template to use for that double opt-in, and they're GDPR compliant. But I know your sticky bar, I mean, there's just like, seriously, this is ridiculous that this law can affect everybody.
Yeah.
But you know what? Actually, it's kind of a good thing, I think, thinking about it, because if this is happening now with the European Union having this hammer come down, I think it's going to just spread into everywhere. I don't think it's going to be for them exclusively. I think everybody else, especially with, everyone freaking out about, privacy and not knowing what people know. It's like, like you said, Vera, it's like, they already have my uterus. So it's like, that's so true. Like, I think it's just going to say, you know what? This happened with you, the UK, and we're going to jump on the bandwagon too.
I know.
So I think it's just a matter of this is going to be the new norm, I think.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I think that if any of, I know we have a newsletter. So if you have a newsletter, definitely, I think it's something or pop-ups on your blog, definitely it's something that you got to think about, like now.
Yeah.
What is it done by Friday the 25th, right?
25th.
And also update the privacy policy. And it's like to your point too, like even when someone asked the other day for like the disclosure policies on the blogs, I think it was Angie, like, or somebody had done that, right? But I haven't done that in so long. So, I mean, that was a good refresher too. So, I mean, to your point, it's a lot of work, but it's something that we all have to, unfortunately.
And is anyone here a food blogger?
No.
I was just going to say, because with my business, I realized that with some of the feedback I came back, and I went back and put it on my blog, which I'm so glad. I think even if you do recipes on your blog, you should have in your disclosure policy and your terms of service something about allergies, just to cover your butt.
That's a good point.
That you have, these are... I mean, you can look on my blog what it says. I can't remember what it says off the top of my head, but I wanted to cover myself as far as, these are recipes that I use. If you can't, it's like, I'm not responsible for any allergic reaction, or if you have an allergy to this, so.
Yes, that's very good.
If you are updating your policy, I think that's something really, I never thought of it until I started getting that feedback with items in our boxes. And I'm like, oh, you know what? I've been writing about food for a really long time. And if people aren't smart enough not to use, eggs when the recipe has eggs in it, then, they can.
No, that's really smart. It's really smart. I think everybody touches on food at some point.
Yeah. So I just think that's something just to add in there. If everyone's updating their policy now, that you should have that. That's just my little nugget of learning along the way.
That's an excellent tip. I'm going to definitely add that in. I know I wrote something today about, I never say it right, but that intermittent fasting, I can't say it. I'm trying it. I've been doing it this week. And right before I started talking about it, I said, I'm not a doctor. I've touched doctors, but osmosis isn't real. Like, I don't know what I'm saying. Like, don't trust anything I'm about to say, because the same thing. Like, I don't want somebody reading the post and then all of a sudden, like, they have a heart attack because all of a sudden they didn't eat for 16 hours in a day, you know? So it is true. You always have to put that disclosure in place whenever you're writing about something other than, you know, a birthday party or something super personal that doesn't make a reader try something out of the ordinary. So I'm actually gonna put that on my blog today because I have a ton of posts about food.
Yeah.
And that makes a lot of sense. So I actually don't really have a disclosure page or anything like that. I think that's gonna be my thing for today, to get something like that, at least a skeleton up, and then worry about getting everything in place over the next couple of days, because that's very important.
I'm putting out my disclosure policy now. I know. I'm like, let me just add this in while I'm here.
Ay. The newsletter freaks me out though, because I mean, I literally deleted my newsletter in January, and now I'm gonna have. What am I gonna have to do? Delete it again? I mean, I have to figure out. I have to figure out how to make sure that's compliant. But
I think like it's like we gotta now, even on our permission to hustle, you gotta get that double opt-in so people know exactly what they're. And you know, in all fairness, too, how many newsletters have we just been signed up for that are like, oh my goodness, just to like get the number up, you know, like it is one of those things. But like to your point, Kelly, I mean, how do we know who's UK and who's not? I mean, we could look at our, you know, just our permission to hustle list. We would have no idea.
No.
Unless it's Prince Harry, and we'll be like, that might be a UK name.
Right. And that's the thing. It's like, I guess after the 25th, whoever doesn't re-opt in, which, you know, I'm sure will cut my list, but that's okay, because the people who did re-sign up are going to be more engaged and more, I'll have a higher open rate than, you know, just dead weight.
That's a good point.
Are you going to have some sort of contest or something? Is there going to be some sort of, are you going to give them some prize in the sky to have them try to stay, or is this just a flat old, like, just re-opt in?
I think I'm just going to re-opt in, only because I don't have, unless I can figure something out with after this webinar on Saturday, then I'll try it. But right now, as it is, when they opted in to the newsletter, they got free bookmark recipe cards. So they had, you know, my top 5 recipes. When you signed up, you got, you know, a nice little thing that you could cut and put in your cookbook. Are they going to continue to do that? I guess they can opt in. They can definitely say, you know, you can check the box. Do you want the recipes or do you not want them? So that's a good idea. But a lot of people that are on the list already have that. So I'm really super, super horrible at getting freebies and downloadables. I'm
sitting on like a box that is falling onto itself. So that's why I keep moving. I'm going to try to make like a downloadable thing, like exactly what you said. And then try to say, like, if you re-opt in, you know, get this whatever, X, Y, and Z, just to try to keep them. And then I wonder, so do you have it that if they re-opt in, then they don't get a follow-up email, but then if they don't re-opt in, they're going to keep getting follow-up emails automatically? Or because, like, what if, you know, if you only have like a 30% open rate, what happens to the 70% of people who didn't open it?
Right.
Well, they're cut off the list. I have to scrub them from the list.
Oh my God.
That's why I'm saying if people, so I could start with, you know, 1,000 people, and come the 26th, I could have 10.
I mean, I literally just got my list up to 1,000 people after starting from scratch at the beginning of the year, and now I'm going to lose everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's right. What it's like, this is gonna.
I'm gonna set up a recurring.
Quiet. Not you.
email to get them to open at least, because I think Active Campaign that they'll if you could do like an if then sequence, that if they don't open it, you can at least keep resending.
Mm-hmm.
I was just gonna say, Kelly, because we haven't looked into it. Active must have something right in place for this.
Well, you have to make it work. Like,
no, but I'm saying like all this. I mean, obviously they're putting it on us, but I mean, I feel like I've gotten so many. I mean, like you said, MailChimp, Kelly, have they reached out to you for anything, like, or no?
Yeah, I know they just sent everybody an update.
Okay.
And when you sign in, it's like, you know, are you GDPR compliant? And then you can go to their template. They have a template and everything. But you can also, what's it? Am I able to click on my tabs while we're on this?
Yeah.
There is a really good video that she walks through MailChimp. Who is this lady on YouTube? Here, you know what? I'm just going to click the link and I'll put it in the group. But she walks through the MailChimp and and she's British, but she shows exactly like how to create those tick boxes of what you have to have. So here, let's see. I'm just putting it in the Google sign-in, like where you added so itvid.net is the link, but this is how to set up your forms in MailChimp.
It's in MailChimp?
Yeah.
Yeah, we just switched from MailChimp too.
I have MailChimp and Active Campaign, but Active Campaign I think is too much for me, so I always use MailChimp. So, but I just put that link in there, so at least it gives you a template. I'm sure Active has something as well.
Yeah.
But that at least can get you started as to what they're going to require. But these sign-in boxes are going to look ridiculous because you can have your little sign-in and all these check boxes. And on top of that, if someone wants to opt out of, if they're from the UK and they want to opt out of your list, you have 72 hours to show them their information and that it's scrubbed and they're ghosted out completely.
Or they just gone.
Yeah. So, but you have to prove to them within that time frame that you've given back their information that they signed up for. It's like, oh my gosh, this is crazy town. It really is crazy town.
So I guess the newsletter, you have just sent out a massive newsletter to everybody, basically saying to re-opt in.
Yeah, I think for Roost Crate, I will definitely just send a new letter, email. Not that it's affecting, but I'll have to update our privacy policy just to show that we're compliant for whatever day comes that we do ship internationally. But for Eat Picks, I definitely have to I'm just sending a newsletter saying, we're updating our policy. I'm sure you've heard about this. I would love for you to stay and re-opt in. And you have until the 25th to do so. Otherwise, I'll remove you from the list completely. Here's our updated privacy policy. And really, in that sense, like I said, if I don't hear back, obviously I'll send it a couple times, before that date. But if I don't hear back, I have to remove them from my email list by the 25th. So, I'm starting out with over
texting myself,
and I might end up with 10. I know it'll be more than that, but
it'll be more than that because, like to your point, if these are people that really have opted in already, then they're gonna want to opt in again. It
just stinks because with that, I don't know where, I mean, I can't remember where I heard this. It might have been like StoryBrand or somebody, but I always thought, oh my gosh, my open rate is so low, but a really successful open rate is like 24%.
Yeah, we just heard that. Like, what did the guy say, Vera, the other day? It was like 15.
Yeah, like
right?
it was so low. I thought, oh my gosh, here I'm trying to like.
I just told us that the other day.
75%, but no, it's like it's super low. So if that's the case, then hopefully it'll go higher after the 25th because those people really want to see and read what I have to say. So.
No, absolutely. Oh, well, I unfortunately have to go pick up my daughter from school. I didn't realize it was almost 3 o'clock. And I spray tan today, so I need to put on clothing when I go pick her up. So I don't scare the teachers because I'm like in nothing right now. This is actually, I think this was really, I mean, this chunk of stuff at the end was great. Oh, thank you, Kelly, for sharing all of that stuff on the Instagram and the Google Analytics and the names. That was so, I literally took like a page of notes. So this is great.
And I'll try, like I said, I just flipping through my phone from Camille's talk. I mean, there's so much information in there. I think what I might do is just try to upload them as pictures and then make them into a slide, and I'll link it in, or a PDF, and then I'll link it in the group, just because there's so much information and links on there. And I just real quick with the SEO, when you update it, like she was saying, if you refresh an old post, because I know a lot of us are doing that, going back and fixing the SEO, to do that one time and then let it sit. And I think Deb's talk mentioned that too. Like, you don't want to keep going back into your post and like, oh, I could have added another paragraph, because Google will ding you for that, because they don't have enough time to crawl the new content that you just created. So they said wait like a month and then you can go back and update it. But don't, like, if you have a misspelling, that's one thing, but if you're updating old posts for better SEO, don't go right back in the next day and update even more. Wait so that they can crawl it.
And one question on that, because when I update an old post, I'm supposed to go into Google Console and let them know that I updated that post, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So you need to, and that's okay, but don't go back like a week later and say, oh, I could really add another paragraph or two to this. Like, wait a month.
Okay.
To do that.
Okay.
All right. I unfortunately have to jump off so that I don't get a call from school, but it was awesome seeing you guys.
You too.
And let me see, where do I hang up? Oh, the red hang up. Okay. Bye, guys.
All right, guys.